Deadly strikes on Poltava and Kursk. Russians kill their own kin. Usual Russian thing, I guess. Another topic: Putin will never try again after this, says NATO chief. Secret ideas for Ukraine peace talks. Let us all speculate a bit on that, what these ideas could be all about. So, good afternoon. My name is Henry Keen, and we are UATV English and English-speaking Ukrainian state media in, trust me on that, constant persuasion to deliver hard truth in easy terms for the whole free world directly from Ukraine. A Russian missile struck a residential building in the city of Poltava in the morning of February 1st, killing at least 14 people, including 2 children. Ukraine's State Emergency Service reports on that. The attack destroyed all 5 floors of one of the building sections, caused a fire, and damaged neighboring buildings. A total of 14 civilians, including 2 children, were killed in the missile strike. The State Emergency Service of Ukraine says about this morning. The attack injured another 17 people, including 4 children. 22 were rescued, said acting Poltava Oblast Governor Volodymyr Kohut. A search and rescue operation is active as of 7 a.m. today. This morning, over 400 employees of municipal services and city authorities have been involved in the emergency response. Russia launched a large-scale attack on several regions overnight, hitting residential buildings in cities of Odessa, Kharkiv, Zaporizhia, Presidential Office head Andriy Yermak says. Attacks on residential areas houses civilians. It is a typical tactics of the Russian army, he writes on Telegram. It was 42 missiles of various types and 123 Shahid-type attack drones and decoy drones launched at us in Ukraine by Russia this overnight only. 56 targets were shot down, while 61 were lost. We are working to attract more resources and partners to strengthen the Ukrainian air shield, said President Zelenskyy. Protection against shelling is an absolute priority. Much more needs to be done, but every one of our partners in the world who helps us with this is a lifesaver. Poltava, located in central Ukraine, is home to roughly 300,000 residents. The city is 120 kilometers, which is 75 miles from the border with Russia, and 240 kilometers, which is 143 miles from the eastern front. The city and surrounding region are regular targets of Russian drone and missile attacks just as well, the largest of which killed at least 51 and injured over 270 at the Poltava Military Institute of Communications. Russian strike also targeted a nursing home in the Ukrainian-captured but Russian town of Sudzha in Russia, Kursk Oblast on February 1st. The building, which served as a shelter, primarily housed elderly residents. At least 4 were killed in the attack, while 84 people have been rescued. 4 of them were injured and remain in critical condition. Search and rescue operations are ongoing as more people could be trapped under the rubble. We just only imagine that you are an elderly Russian person killed by Russian missile while sleeping in your own Russian town in Russia. You don't tell me Russians did not knew that and their own Russian civilians are going to die after that strike. It's even worse than that in that case, because they had to know, as they are Russian military, right? And this is Russian town in Russia. So yes, they are Russian military, and this is exactly what they did. They just did not care.
At the time of the attack, dozens of local residents were inside the building preparing to evacuate. The Russians knew that the building housed mainly civilians, local residents, including women and children. Volodymyr Zelenskyy, president of Ukraine.
Let me do the impossible here for you. I will now stand on the point of view of the usual pro-Russian activist. I will do my worst to imagine that all that happened in Kursk was done by Ukraine to, stain Russian reputation. You know what? Let us dive even deeper into this abyss of absurd, and let us all imagine that this war is Ukraine's fault. Like Bucha never happened. It all was staged by Ukrainian very, very secret service with Hollywood actors and whatever Russian propaganda is saying. Let us imagine it is all true. This war is not a war, but a special Russian operation, a fair Russian answer to that NATO expands and Ukrainian gas blackmail in Europe and killing mosquitoes in deadly secret underground laboratories with zombie viruses and killer geese and whatever it is on Russian propaganda line, you name it, let's imagine that all has been done by Ukraine. Okay, I think I might even agree to that there were no Bucha thing, as I sincerely wish there were no Bucha. I wish we could just stage it all up with silicon and artificial blood like they do that in Hollywood. I just have one and very simple question to all Russian activists. If Ukraine did all that and staged all that and bombs itself and makes NATO expand and is that omnipotent, my question is, why the hell Ukrainian army is not yet in Moscow? NATO chief Mark Rutte has said he has ideas about any future peace negotiations between Kyiv and Moscow that are little secret, but will ensure Russian President Vladimir Putin will, I quote, never try again to conquer Ukraine, end of quote. In an interview with the German newspaper Bild, published on February 1st, just yesterday, Rutte was asked if peace between Ukraine and Russia is even possible.
I can't describe to you exactly how these talks will go. I already have ideas about what this composition could look like, but we don't want to make Putin any smarter than he already is. We're making it a little secret. Only the end is certain. Putin will never try again after this. Mark Rutte, NATO Secretary General.
Rutte was also asked during that interview about the direction of the full-scale invasion and if Ukraine, along with its Western allies, is losing, given Russia's continued grinding advances in the Donbass. I quote, "The Russians are paying an enormous price of 1,000 to 1,500 people per day in dead and wounded. And yet the Russians are not achieving their goals, and our job is to ensure that they never achieve their goals. So no, Ukraine is not losing, and we must support Ukraine in getting into a position of strength," end of quote. The comments come a day after US President Donald Trump said that his team is already engaged in very serious discussions with the Russian side and how to end the war in Ukraine. In response, President Volodymyr Zelenskyy told the Associated Press that talks about the war that do not include Ukraine in these talks are very dangerous. They may have their own relations, but talking about Ukraine without us, it is dangerous for everyone, Zelenskyy said. It is surely good to know that Chief NATO officer Mark Rutte understands that. President of Ukraine also noted that the first step for Ukraine is to hold a high-level meeting with Trump so that Kyiv and Washington can deliver and develop their own plans for a ceasefire. Then the parties can move on further to negotiations that involve Russia directly. I believe that first and foremost, we must hold a meeting with Trump, and that is important, and that is, by the way, something that everyone in Europe wants, Zelenskyy said. Following the meeting, we should move on to some kind of format of conversation with Russians, he added. Zelenskyy also said one more thing. I would like to see the United States of America, Ukraine, and the Russians at the negotiating table, he said. And to be honest, a European Union voice should also be present there. I think it will be fair and effective. But how will it turn out? I don't know, said Zelenskyy. So maybe we can try. With all that uncertainty and secrecy, let us, UATV, make a wish. Shall we? Let us wish Mark Rutte's secret for Putin that allegedly will stop him of ever attacking Ukraine again and any country in the world again be a massive weapons delivery for Ukraine. Amen to that. Well, that will be all for tonight and for this week. So thank you so very much for your precious time with us. My name is Henry Keane, and we are UATV English, an English-speaking Ukrainian state media in yet another attempt to deliver hard truth in easy terms for you, for the whole free world, directly from Ukraine. Please like, share, and let us know. Are we doing all right with all we're doing? Your voice matters as it helps Ukrainian voice to be heard globally. Stay safe and tune for more already on Monday, tomorrow. Goodbye.